There's always a sense of excitement when a fresh Mustang comes along. Because, like the Mini or the E-Type Jag, it's one of those Hall of Fame cars.
So here we are with the new one. The question is where to drive it. Kind of lends itself to a bit of a road movie, really.
Yes, we need our own Nevada highway, our own Route 66. And here it is, the A15.
It's a magnificent bit of tarmac, the longest stretch of straight road in Britain, and it runs from Scunthorpe to Lincoln. I am a bit worried about this bit, though. But with being in an American car and everything, it's a corner.
The Mustang still holds the record for being the fastest-selling car of all time in America. It really is part of the landscape. In fact, back in the 1960s, the US Navy ran a recruitment ad that said the Beach Boys, apple pie, and the '67 Mustang. 3 things worth fighting for.
But that's not been the case for a while now, because frankly, the last few generations of Mustang have been a bit pony.
The problem is, whereas other muscle cars like the Charger had the good grace to die young, the Mustang has lived on.
And it's got tamer and weedier over the years until it's ended up as nothing more than a badge for the marketing men to sell.
This one, Ford reckon, will turn the pony back into a stallion once again. But on first impressions, you won't be bowled over, particularly if you're used to European cars.
Take the engine, for example. It's a 4.6-litre V8. That sounds like a lot, but it's not German. You get just 300 brake horsepower. That's hardly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
On paper, the figures look good. 0 to 60 in just under 6 seconds. But it just doesn't feel rapid. Mind you, that's not such a bad thing, because it's also got the most basic suspension this side of a stagecoach.
It's got a live rear axle. Now, forgive me if I get a bit technical here, but bear with me.
What it means is that the back wheels are connected basically by a girder. So what one wheel does, the other wheel does.
It's a bit like running around with your shoelaces tied together. There are better ways of getting about.
After a hard morning pounding the blacktop, I was hungry and pulled into a luxurious roadside diner.
Can I have, I'd like an all-day breakfast and a big mug of tea and eggs over easy. Actually, I've no idea what that means. Just cook them. Thank you.
And then it was here, in the car park of Sales Rep Saloon, that the Mustang started to make sense. I mean, parked up next to your average Euro box, it looks magnificent. And then the funeral heavies reminded me that it's also got some charming touches.
Now, there is a tradition in road movies that at some point the baddie in the muscle car locks another bloke in the boot. Well, they've thought of that, because look at this. This handle. Pull that and the boot opens from the inside, and look, that man is clearly running away. Eh? That's not how it would have happened in the old days. In the old days, you stayed locked in the boot with the spade until you got to the woods.
But if your murder victim has run away, here's a little detail to cheer you up.
Okay, with these controls, I can change the colour of the lights on the instrument binnacle. 125 colours to choose from. I didn't even know there were that many.
I was really warming to this car, and as the miles rolled by, its muscle car charm seduced me even more. It might be a bit of a simpleton, but it feels like it's regained some of that spirit of the old Mustang.
Yes, technically a European car would run rings round it, but come on, this has got such a sense of drama and of occasion, and it looks fantastic. It's a completely different beast. And it goes about its business like a proper muscle car too. If I stand on the accelerator, It doesn't just accelerate, it rears and snores. It's got a sense of theatre and of drama and of pantomime. It's an event. And you know, right now in America, the average time between one of these things going onto a dealer forecourt for sale and then being bought is 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and I'm not surprised.
Our road movie ends in Lincoln, which doesn't sound romantic, but actually Lincoln is a bit of a surprise. It looks really pretty, and yet it's one of the cheapest places in Britain to live. And that brings us neatly to another good thing about the Mustang.
Because here we are, muscle car, looking like it does, with a V8 and all the toys inside and a Mustang badge, and it costs 25 to 30 grand. That's it.
And for an icon, that's a bit of a bargain.
I've come to Detroit, which in my defence is not exactly Saint-Tropez. God may have created the world in 6 days, but while he was resting on the 7th, Beelzebub popped up and did this place. Back in the 60s, Detroit was the home of Motown and Motor City. But the riots of '67 left it a deserted and shattered shell.
So, I haven't come here for a holiday. I've come here for something even better.
This is the new Ford GT. It's the first proper supercar ever made in America. It was built to celebrate Ford's 100th birthday. But there's a lot more to it than that.
Over the years, there have been a couple of attempts to try and rekindle the GT40 magic. There was the GT70, which I bought. Here it is, look, doors open and everything. Fantastic. And then in 1995, there was the GT90.
I actually drove this and it was horrid. Had a top speed of 40 and it handled like it was in a cartoon. Ford realised that the only way forwards was to go backwards. This is the result. It looks almost identical to the old GT40, although because this one was built in America, it is bigger than the one built in Britain, longer, wider and taller, but still just as good looking. This car shows that the desolate and smashed city of Detroit, one of the most dangerous places on Earth, is not quite dead. It's still coughing up blood and guts. Don't think, however, that this is just some evolutionary throwback. Ford wanted it to be much more than a pretty face.
They wanted it to handle like a Lotus Elise, sound like a Honda NSX, shock like a Lamborghini Diablo, and go like a Ferrari 360. Now on that last front, the speed thing, I think they may have overdone it.
You see, it offers up 500 brake horsepower, and that's 100 more than you get from the 360. And you get twice the torque over twice the rev range. So with its top speed of 200 miles an hour, this thing once again will blow Ferrari into the middle of next week.
Obviously, you don't get the sense that the engine was made by craftsmen using techniques passed from father to son over the generations, because, of course, it wasn't.
Actually, the 5.4-litre supercharged V8 is lifted out of one of Ford's pickup trucks.
This, then, is a blue-collar car with a blue-collar punch. It's a working-class hero. Let's go hunting for aristocrats. Shout them to death.
Of course, Americans have never had a problem making stuff go fast in a straight line. The Space Shuttle, the Corvette, the Boeing 747, and so on.
But they have never, and I've checked this out with all the experts, they've never made a car that can go around corners properly. Until now.
The ride comfort's a bit shabby, but as far as handling and grip are concerned, it is epic. So it goes fast, handles well, looks astonishing, and we haven't even got to the second best thing about it yet.
The clutch is so light, even someone from a Lowry painting could press it. The steering's light, the gearbox is light, I've got air conditioning, I've got a stereo, I've got electric windows, I've got central locking, and yet none of the essence of the GT40 has been lost. Look at these doors, for instance. They still cut into the roof. And just like on the old car, you can see the engine through the back window. Mind you, not as well as if you open up the clamshell. Oh, look at that. Look at it. Makes me feel 6 years old all over again. In fact, I think I've just wet myself.
Amazingly then, Ford seems to have done it. The GT does handle like a Lotus, it does shock like a Lambo, and it goes harder and faster than a Ferrari.
And now we get to the best thing about it. It's priced like a Ford.
Even though it'll only be built in tiny numbers, it's going to be less than £100,000. That's 8,000 less than the Ferrari and 17,000 less than the Lamborghini Gallardo.
I love this thing. I love it even more than I thought I was going to. Feel that power.
I love it mostly though because it takes you back to a time when Detroit was humming to the petrolhead rhythm of the Motown sound. A time when the Temptations provided the descant and the factories were on bass. A time when the street echoed to the sound of dancing and the roar of last chance heroes in their V8 muscle cars racing between the lights.
I've always wanted to do this.
We were keen to take on this amazing race complex in the high desert of California, but the producers had other ideas.
Thank you.
You will be familiar with a game called Laser Quest.
That's that one.
It's like paintballing, but with lasers.
So you have a jacket that's got laser receptors on it and it registers when you've been hit. Yes, I know that. What?
You will now play Aerial Laser Quest.
How does that?
Well, hang on. Your cars have been fitted with laser receptors. You will drive 5 laps of the track while 2 fighter planes fitted with laser guns shoot at you. The winner will be the one who is least shot.
Fighter planes with laser guns?
What planes?
Are they model planes?
Are they remote control? They weren't. In fact, they were Italian Marchettis. Fast, agile, armed, and flown today by 2 hotshot dogfighters.
Mav is orbiting to the north. Copy that. Initial altitude will be 2,000 AGL.
With our laser sensors activated, we set off at 30-second intervals.
Tally-ho, chaps.
stand clear. I'm going to go for the Aston on the straight.
They're after him already. Kill him! Kill him!
I missed.
Let's just try sheer speed for a bit.
Bit of braking my Foxham there. Oh no!
Oh, Captain, slow. You're going to need to do better than that, my friend.
Big speed coming up, 140. That's nothing to those planes that could just reel me.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go after the Lexus.
Trying to shoot this car from a plane like that, I'm sorry. It's like trying to swat a fly with a drinking straw. Not going to happen. Oh no!
Bingo, Lexus dead.
I'm hit again! They're just shooting at me because my car's Japanese. It's racism.
Sorry, Jeremy.
There was only one thing for it.
Lexus informed, this is Cheryl. Where would you like to go today?
I'm being attacked by fighter planes.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, I'm being attacked. There are fighter planes and I'm trying to get away from them. Do you have any suggestions?
What?
She didn't. And as a result, the game became a turkey shoot. What? No!
Lexus dead. Aston is dead. Bingo, Viper's dead. Bingo, there's Viper.
No, another hit for me!
My God, they got Ginger!
Smoke! Smoke!
Ah!
Mate boys, they're going in for the kill. I can see him zooming down. To be honest, we weren't enjoying the relentless slaughter.
Under attack, under attack.
But we were at least loving our cars.
Oh! The guts of this car are what make it unbelievable on track. Just hauls ass.
Jinking, and brake. Oh, that just feels tremendous.
The word immediate was invented for the throttle response on this car. And the steering, and the gearbox, and every single thing about it. Look at that! But though our cars were good, the planes were better.
Oh my God, how did he get me there?
So 26 laps into the 5-lap event, we decided to get cunning.
You see? Ha ha! Where am I now then, plane? You can't see me. Ha 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 ha! Invisible! Oh, he's got me. Bugger.
What I've done is I've hidden near the hills behind a bucket. See, this is the ingenuity that marks me aside. Oh, what? Cunning wasn't working, so we did what we do best. Panic. Hammond, you're going
Jeremy, you're going the wrong way!
No,
He's going the wrong way.
Oh, I'm going the wrong way.
No!
What?
A bonus.
No!
Fading light eventually brought the massacre to an end.
There's a lot of bullet holes in those cars down there.
great things about the Mustang is that it really introduced drivers to the whole idea of options, of speccing up your car. So when it first came out in the early 1960s, nobody wanted a bogo standard one with a six-cylinder engine. They wanted ones like this, the GT390.
This is the Bullet Mustang, the one Steve McQueen hurled into movie history around the streets of San Francisco.
The GT390 is, in car terms, one of the seven wonders of the world. The noise, the presence.
Very, very few cars live up to their hype.
But this car does, and I should know, because this is my GT390.
And I'm using it to make a Mustang point. Everything that made it good, the engine, the lights, and the stripes, was extra.
Basically, if you wanted a good one, you had to forget cheap and cheerful and go for the bells and whistles version. And that is what's been missing so far from the new one.
Until now. This is the Mustang GT 500. And from every angle you can see its muscle car biceps straining to burst out of the bodywork. It's also festooned with menacing Cobra badges, a tribute to tuning legend Carroll Shelby.
Now, Shelby only ever put his name to the fastest and most powerful Mustangs, which means this thing has got to be more than just a fashion statement.
And it is.
Good God!
You see, this car has the supercharged V8 from the Ford GT.
Which means power goes up from 300 to 500 horsepower. 0 to 60, 4.9 seconds. 0 to 100, 10 seconds.
In America, the GT 500 has gone down a storm. The queues are out of the door and round the block.
Now, if you wait your turn, you could put one of these on your drive in Britain for £35,000. Sounds tempting. Question is, should you? Let's start with the power. That 500 horsepower, it's a bit, you know, neat.
This is a rolling road. It's a sort of lie detector for engines and gives the true horsepower reading.
Genuinely looking forward to this. What's the score?
Really?
Right. So this GT 500 actually makes 447. Almost. There you go, that seems fair enough. You know, thinking about it, while I've got the machine here, please don't hurt it. It had, when it was brand new, 325 horsepower. And I'm assured by the man who sold me it that this is a fine example of the breed. 250.
Anyway, back to the job in hand. And speaking of disappointments,
Multi-link geometry, dual rate remote reservoir dampers, fully independent rear suspension. These are just some of the things that this Mustang hasn't got.
no, what this car uses is a live axle, which, as rear suspension goes, is basically a whacking great girder with a wheel at each end.
It's not exactly the most modern layout. I think Noah's Ark had a similar setup.
Because the technology is old-fashioned, you can have some good old-fashioned fun. But when it all goes wrong, the Mustang becomes as precise and dynamic as, well, an ark. Now, Ford say they didn't give the GT500 modern suspension because it would have added $5,000 to the price of each car.
That is a ridiculous decision. You can't just give a car an extra 200 brake horsepower and then leave it with prehistoric suspension.
What you're left with then is a car that looks great and goes fast in a straight line. And that's it. But don't despair.
If you really want to spend 30 grand on a Mustang that looks good and goes fast in a straight line, then why not buy the one that has the pedigree and the history and makes a great noise? Buy this one. Well, not this one, obviously. It's a bit down on power.
We woke up the next morning having spent the night in our rented Winnebago on the salt flats themselves. Caused by global warming about 15,000 years ago, they've been used by speed freaks since 1912. Keen to become one of those speed freaks, I was up extremely early. Now, as we know, practice makes perfect. So I'm going to get some practice now before the course opens in the Bago.
Clarkson!
What?
I know it's you.
We're up to 40 miles an hour in the Bago. It's changed. Come on!
I was asleep!
Where's May?
Packing in, I'm on the throw. Clarkson, it's not funny. Clarkson, you infantile pillock. You're tidying that up.
At 9, the event began, and we immediately bought some hats so we'd blend in. Morning. Then it was time for our safety briefing.
On a run, if a car has a problem, they blow up an engine or they catch fire, they turn out to the right, and we know immediately to send the fire truck.
So we go right if we have a problem?
That's correct.
If we go left, spinning wildly out of control, that doesn't mean we haven't had a problem. That just means we haven't been able to go to the right.
Our challenge was simple: to see what speed we could achieve as we went past the mile marker. I'm not leaving here until I've achieved 170 miles an hour.
150 is my target for that.
150?
160.
50, 60, 70.
Right, gentlemen.
On a mile-long run on tarmac, our cars would hit those speeds easily, but on salt, that's a very different story.
There's a top coat of, tiny crystals.
You kind of float over 130, you start floating around a little bit.
It's slicker, the surface responds differently to the tire.
Does it slide about?
Sometimes, depends on how much horsepower you put down.
425, what will happen then?
You'll spin out.
Okay.
You'll spin
Doesn't
out.
bode
So
well
what am
for
I
you,
going to
does
do
it?
at 640 horsepower?
You're going to have to be awfully careful.
It was time for our first runs.
Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war.
They probably think that's a Bon Jovi lyric here.
Okay, here we go. Come on now, baby. This is your territory. This is what you do. Just a little bit more.
Oh, that was a bad start. Bit of snaking, bit of wobble. Come on, car.
And 1 mile. There we go.
Course is clear.
All of us were too slow.
166.
157.
142. That's not...
No, I know.
To reach our targets, we'd have to get the wheel spin off the line exactly right. Every gear change exactly right. We'd have to get our line in the salt exactly right. Every bit of the run would have to be perfect. And that's a tall order for us lot.
I hit the limiter.
No, this is hopeless.
144. 166.
153, ignoring that one.
Come on, come on. Oh no! I missed third!
It's going to be worse. No!
This is so irritating.
Oh,
144.
157.
Missing the gear cost me 3 miles an hour.
It just doesn't work with the traction control off.
that's a complete cock-up.
No, that was hopeless. I'm going backwards.
144 again.
In the midst of all this disappointment, though, the little red Corvette achieved something amazing.
Well, you got the fastest run we've ever clocked on these clocks.
Most people would be pleased to break a record for production cars.
Damn, 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 damn.
But Jeremy was still shy of his 170-mile-an-hour target.
They call this salt fever when you become so obsessed that you just can think of nothing but going faster and faster and faster.
Sod it!
Even Captain Slow was infected.
Oi! We met James, middle name Q Barger.
I like this game. To help us find more speed, Jeremy and I pumped our tyres up, while Richard had found an expert who said he should let some air out.
If you have too much air in the tire, the air is actually holding the pressure out on the sidewall, so the tire can't grow.
I'm really pinning my hopes on that guy being one of those sort of mystic gurus of the flats. They exist.
Jeremy and I lined up for another run with our tyres bulging at 50 psi.
Warning notices all over my dashboard and I'm ready to rock.
Good gear change there, didn't hit the rev limiter this time. Come on, stretch it, stretch it, stretch it. 162, 164, 165.
169, half a mile an hour to go.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on! Yes, 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 yes.
159.
Oh, God. I can't do it.
It had been close, but no banana for Jeremy and James. So now, watch and learn.
That's a much better start. It's gonna work! Come on, Challenger! Think of the glory, think of the honour.
130. What's that? I can't read it.
139. Everyone agree?
It was afterwards, when we were making the front of my car more streamlined, that I learned a bit more about my salt guru.
How much of your life have you spent on the flats?
This is the first time on the salt.
Okay.
Still, he was pretty good with sellotape, so with my grille sealed over and my tyres pumped up, I set off for another run.
Snaky start, come on. Oh no, a bit of tape's gone. I can't press the pedal any harder. Come on, keep climbing, keep climbing, keep climbing. Hop, hop, do you have a knife I can borrow? There you go, challenge it, breathe!
With my tyres pumped up to the point of exploding, I set off after Hammond.
Forward into the pages of history. Synchro's getting a bit weak on second. That's 153, 4. Come on, stretch it, stretch it. Come on, mate. Oh, I don't know.
I didn't expect that, then I've done it. 150.02.
What?
just this second, that last run.
You've done it?
I've done it. Le Mans 50.02.
What have I just done?
Best game.
Let's see. 176.549.
No. So, could slow make it 3 out of 3?
Now come on. Quick change. Come on, come on, come on.
176 miles an hour.
I got my 150 from my Challenger. I've ruined it, obviously.
Come on. Please let that be it.
Was it a good run?
Felt like it. Sir?
163.
Yes!
Do you know what it is?
We've all done it.
Has Hammond
Hammond's
done
done 150.
Fantastic.
He's celebrating in the honey bucket. Hammond! Hammond!
What?
He did it!
What, 160?
Yes.
163.
Hey, we've all hit our target.
We've
Hang on
all
a
done
minute.
it. We were ambitious and for the first time ever successful.
I've never
And
been good at anything before.
we've been factual.
The clock is operating. We're underway.
It had no doors, no roof, no windscreen. It produced just 1 horsepower and it had a couple of garden chairs for seats.
And yet, the Luna Rover, or moon buggy, cost £25 million. And that was in 1971, when a V12 E-Type Jag cost less than £3,500. And in its short life, the moon buggy covered just 56 miles, which in Top Gear maths works out at about £500,000 per mile. Although they were all on the moon.
Box taking, you are go.
The moon buggy was used in 3 space missions.
Man, oh man, what a Grand Prix this is. I tell you, she sure does a good job with this kind of terrain.
And the short, bouncy journeys it made were about the most useful a car has ever undertaken.
The moon buggy meant that the astronauts could explore more of the moon than they would have been able to on foot. And that meant they could take more pictures, collect more rocks, drill for more samples, and generally get a better understanding of where the universe may have come from.
However, in 1972, the moon missions were scrapped, which means that for the last 39 years, the only moon buggy you'll have seen on Earth has been in a museum. Until now. Because, yes, it's back.
This really is it. The Moon Buggy Mark II, a car for outer space. This is much more exciting than something like a Veyron SS or a Ferrari 458. Those are just Earth cars.
And because I am the one who goes by the name of Captain Buzz Slow, NASA have said I can drive it.
There we are flat out in the Luna Rover Mark II. That's 10 miles an hour. The original Luna Rover, that did 8 miles an hour until the astronauts got hold of it, and they managed to push that up to 11. So who knows, this could get into the teens. I can't believe I'm being allowed to do this. I'm alone in it.
Well, almost alone. Since Moon Buggy Mark II cost $4.5 million, there was a car behind me containing some NASA heavies who could remotely shut it down if I did anything stupid.
Absolutely fantastic control interface here. I've got this screen with touch buttons, loads of parameters I can fiddle with. Every single wheel is monitored, my heading, my direction, roll, pitch, yaw, all these things. If normal cars were as complicated as this, they'd be a lot more fun. Right, watch this for a really brilliant little Luna Rover party trick. If I just push the joystick to the side, very slightly, there you can see that's not turning right, that's crabbing. How about that? What was that?
You're driving straight at a light pole.
Am I that close to it? Sorry. After an astronomical bollocking, I decided to concentrate on moon buggy pub trivia. This is the only vehicle of any type I've ever driven with 2 quoted weights, because here on Earth it weighs approximately 4 tons, but on the moon, of course, the gravity is only about 1/6 of what we have here, so it weighs something like 760 kilograms. And they do have to think about that sort of thing. It will behave differently, and your senses will behave differently as well. The moon buggy has 12 wheels, powered by 6 motors, and they have a great party piece. Right, watch this. We are now crabbing exactly sideways. The Eagle has parked. Sorry. Now, we have done a small amount of maths here. This is proper maths, not Top Gear maths, and we worked out that if every car in Britain could park like that and didn't have to leave a gap at each end, we'd save, wait for it, 10,000 miles of parking space. But since there's not really a problem with parking on the moon, those wheels, combined with an adjustable ride height, are designed primarily to be amazing off-road. Houston, we are go for rocks. Now you'll see when you're looking outside, each wheel set is working out where it's going and what it's doing, sort out the ride height, deal with the traction. It's extremely intelligent, it has extremely powerful computers. The tyres themselves aren't quite so high-tech. They were chosen for their toughness and are from a crop sprayer. Ha ha! Look at this. That's bags of torque. That's a 4-ton vehicle climbing up a 30-degree slope. What a climb! What a ride! It is absolutely brilliant, this thing. Sorry. It's not just the moon buggy's off-road abilities that have moved on either.
Go for DOI. Both looking good.
The original Luna Rover had a very limited range because if it broke down, the astronauts had to be able to make it back to the lunar module on foot. But this one is more of a cosmic camper van. This is a space bed. There's another one that folds down here for your buddy. They're covered in memory foam, which was a NASA invention. There are privacy curtains here, there is an iPod dock, there's home cinema. Here is a space John. But sooner or later, you are going to get bored watching Apollo 13, and you might want to go for a walk outside. And if you do, you have to exit through the rather unusual back door. Here we go. My feet are entering the suit. My gentleman's area is compressed by the crotch of the space suit. I have my hands in the space suit. Leak check complete. Closing the hatch in the Luna Rover. That's quite a giant leap for a very unsteady man. I would now like to perform a short tribute to the late Alan Shepard Jr., one of only 12 men to have walked on the moon, and the only man to have done this. Houston, the Eagle is going for a birdie.
There we go. Miles and miles and miles.
I'd like to be deadly serious for a moment. This is the most fabulous vehicle I've ever driven. Ever. But there is a problem with it. It's not a technical problem, it's the president. He's cancelled all the funding for the next moon mission. Because that's what makes the ship go up. No bucks, no Buck Rogers. That means if you're a kid, you'll never have the thrill of getting up in the middle of the night, like I did, to watch the funny little car hooning about on the moon.
Yahoo! Man, that was all 4 wheels off the ground there. This is
This piece of film I'm watching now shows men leaving the surface of the moon for the last time. That's the ascent stage of the Apollo 17 lunar module blasting off from the lunar surface, and that bit of film was captured with a remote camera mounted on the moon buggy, which means obviously that the moon buggy was left behind. And it does make me sort of sad really to think of that amazing car being left up there gathering moon dust for eternity. But if you ask me, it's not half as sad as a moon buggy that will never go up there at all.
The Moroso Motorsports Park is unusual in America because it has left-handed turns and some which go right as well. Perhaps that's why it was deserted, too complicated for the colonials. Or maybe everyone had been murdered. Whatever, it was time for our first challenge.
It says here that each of our cars must complete 1 lap of the track. The target is 1 minute 10 seconds. Get points for every second under that time, and you lose points for every second over it.
Yeah, but the thing is, none of us have ever seen that track.
Yes, that's going to be tricky.
We're not driving.
Well, who is?
Some say that he's a CIA experiment that went wrong, and that he only eats cheese. All we know is he's not the Stig, but he is the Stig's American cousin.
Big Stig!
First, he squeezed himself into my Camaro.
1, 2, 3, go!
I was expecting...
It's 0 to 60 in 7.9 seconds.
Once.
You can do 110, and he's doing that now.
And no more.
It's limited. It's electronically limited.
No, it's just naturally limited to 110 because it's rubbish.
Lean that weight in there, Big Stig. There he goes. 1 minute 9 seconds on our top stopwatch.
Is that good?
We don't know, do we?
What we did know was that the Pimpmobile was next.
I'm going to need a calendar for this, not a stopwatch.
Yes,
You got a diary?
I'm going to hold this stone, and as it's eroded by the wind, that'll give us an idea of how long it's been.
Aircon max. Oh, cock.
It's broken, isn't it, mate?
It's run out of electricity.
To
Like
raise
all
the
my cars do.
Titanic, we borrowed a
love
battery
that.
booster.
Is that for starting
Can you
your
stop?
watch when it stops?
That's just... Oh, it's
fair
begun! 1, 2, 3, go!
It's moved off.
It's still
It's pulled
moving
away.
on.
24 days.
I'm getting older.
It looks fabulous. Come on, admit
Well,
it
we've got
looks
plenty of
good.
time to admire it.
The Cadillac certainly seemed to suit Big Stig's relaxed driving style.
On the grass.
But would the match made in heaven be able to beat the Camaro's 1 minute 9?
Yay! 1 minute 14.
So now it was all down to Hammond's Hillbilly Mobile.
3,
Let it rip.
go!
Oh, nice.
Is that manual?
It sounds very... Yeah. Stick shift. 4 on the floor with overdrive.
Actually, it all looked pretty promising.
If this beats mine, I'm going to have to kill you. And I am in a Camaro, so don't think that won't happen.
Oh, it's a proud and noble thing.
You've seen Brokeback Mountain and thought, I want a piece of that life.
No.
Not that piece, I'll have the pickup truck.
Although the truck had started well, in the last few tight corners it was rubbish.
Have you seen how my alloy glints in the sun?
What were you, 114? Yeah.
No, it
12,
can't.
13, 114.
No!
Yes!
How could that happen?
16
1.9!
I think that's more to do with the Stig being too big to get... It didn't make the turn.
Fat Stig's work was done. And so it was time for the next challenge.
You must each accelerate your car to 50 miles an hour. When you reach 50 miles an hour, you must brake as hard as you can.
So this is a test of acceleration and braking altogether?
Yes, you must brake before the end of the track. At the end of the track, there is a river.
That's no big deal.
Full of alligators.
And that wasn't a misprint.
I should explain, that is the track. So if we look up there, OK, there it is. OK, and here, this is alligator infested. There's another one. We drew hot dogs, and mine was the shortest.
I hope he doesn't die at the end.
It's saltwater crocodiles you need to worry about, I think.
Oh, no, I hope he doesn't go in the river. That'd be awful.
Here we go. The hell with the clutch.
Spirited start.
Come on, 30. I don't want to be eaten by an alligator. 35, 40, 45. It's 50.
That's doubly disappointing. Number one, he's not dead.
Yep.
And number two, the fastest accelerating car here only just stopped before the grass.
Surely, though, the Huggy Bearmobile would struggle to do 0 to 50 to 0 in the distance.
Whoa!
That is movement.
Oh, come on, car. Come on, come on, come on. I'm nearly there.
Brake!
Truth, that had me worried.
I should imagine he's clenched in there. 8 tons of caddy.
I was really nervous. I'd just seen Big Stig try to stop my truck and fail completely.
Wait, it's 20.
Here he comes to a certain death.
40. 45. Takes ages. Oh my God.
God.
Oh!
That is quite funny. Hammond!
Are you alive?
Alligators, mate.
Yeah. Shall I suggest we may have made them angry? I've just driven in their into their living room.
Such an unsufferable oath.
Oh, there's my pickup, look.
The cars had survived their ordeal by track, just.
It was designed and built in a shed by a team of just 17 men. At the time, Dodge was strapped for cash, so they had to use whatever they could lay their hands on. The 8-litre V10 engine was taken from a lorry. The wheel hubs were lifted from a pickup truck. The body was made from old canoes and the chassis from 19th century railway sleepers. The end result, however, was astonishing. It had no boot, no roof, no windows, and it handled like it was drunk. But so many people, me included, loved the raw simplicity that Dodge has just made a new version. Here is the result. Of course, this being a product of 21st century America, the health and safety people have stuck their noses in. We have got warning notices here and here which say that death or serious injury can occur. Children under 12 can be killed by the back seat is the safest place for children. Right. This one here tells me that the exhaust pipe can get hot. This is a good one. The vehicle may include mercury-added devices, including rear seat video display. They are fairly determined it's got back seats, but this, I think, is the problem with health and safety bods. They live in a parallel universe. This, though, is my favourite. The top support behind the seats, that's this, is not a roll bar. This is an open vehicle. Drive carefully. No.
wanted me to drive carefully, why have they given me an engine that's even bigger than it was in the old Viper? It's now an 8.3 litre V10, which kicks out 500 brake horsepower. And that's a lot.
That, in fact, is 100 more than you got in the old car, and that means serious performance. 0 to 60 takes 3.9 seconds. Flat out, you'll be riding a tidal wave of thunder and doing 195 miles an hour. And this incredible turn of speed is only part of the makeover.
Anyone familiar with the old Viper simply wouldn't believe the features that are available on this one, the sequel. I mean, it has a space which could be used for transporting goods. Look at this. It has a roof which can be raised and then lowered depending on prevailing weather conditions. I love this. If you touch this button here, glass rises out of the door. And I love this. The pedals can be adjusted using electricity. This car is so sophisticated, it could write its own name. Yep, there.
It is very impressive, this writing business. But if it was really clever, it would know it's not called the Viper anymore. It's actually called the SRT-10. So don't worry, it may look like Lord Greystoke, but underneath the new suit, it's still Tarzan. It's still an absolute animal.
It does handle in the most extraordinary way. You get miles and miles of grip. And then, when you reach the limits of adhesion, it kills you. And because there's so much grip from these hugely fat tyres, you're going really very, very fast indeed when it does let go.
There isn't even any traction control, which would be all right if there was some finesse to the suspension. But there isn't.
Yep. If you tried that on the public road, you'd be branded a complete maniac. Look at the smoke. This is a psycho car. It is a mother of violence. On the one hand, benign and gentle and concerned for your well-being, and on the other, an axe murderer.
No European car is this wayward, and what's more, if you gave a European engineer 8,300cc to play with, he'd come up with a damn sight more than 500 brake horsepower. We can get that much these days from a pencil sharpener. And also, European cars are rather less ostentatious and vulgar. We grew out of chrome wheels in 1972, except in Cheshire, perhaps. And what's more, it's not cheap. You pay £80,000 and they don't even put the steering wheel on the right side.
Also, I think you may tire after a while of the exhausts, which run along here, setting fire to everything. That could become boring.
So it's internal combustion with a hint of spontaneous combustion. It's wayward, it's backward, and I just don't care.
It has the same brutal charm as the old one, really.
It's as stupid and as wonderful as owning a pet elephant.